Is Ryder do a live stream this morning. This is Sunday morning, November the something something. I don't know exactly the date. Let me see if I can see that. Pull it up right now. November the 18th, 2018. My first live stream ever. Title of this live stream is "Are You a Writer?" That's the title here, and I need to get my Gatorade. Title of live stream is "Are You a Writer?" I don't know if I'm gonna get any chats in here while I'm doing this at this time of the morning or not, but who knows? Gotta try. I've only got to try. Oh, and for you that are watching this live stream or the replay of this live stream, just want to let you know, this right here, I just recently did my hair. My hair is wet. It has no gang affiliation whatsoever. I know how some people feel about that, but I do at times wear bandanas that are multicolor to let people know that there's no gang affiliation. I don't subscribe to any type of activities like that. To me, it's just a thing to wear, like a hat. And I don't own many hats, so bandana is what I put on, and to cover up my hair a lot of times. And my hair happens to be wet right now. I got out of the shower, that sort of thing. So just let you know, there's no gang affiliation with that. I had a young group of teens that came up to me one day and asked me who I know and all this other kind of stuff, and I was like, no, man, I just got off work. This ain't got nothing to do with that. I just got off work, man. So just let you all know that it has nothing to do with that with me. That's pretty much that. I hope you all can hear me okay, because the way I've got the phone set up, it's sort of in a down low position right about now. But I guess it's okay. I guess it's okay for where it's at. So what I'm going to do here is talk about just simply the title, Are You a Writer? This day and time, that kind of has a little bit of a left up to interpretation type meaning, but the bottom line meaning of it is pretty much: Are you a car enthusiast? Are you a car enthusiast? A rider, a person that likes cars, drives cars, works on cars, kind of like all the above. I know some people have made it out to be uh, like a gangster or something like that. I don't subscribe to that term as a writer because technically I see that as like a back in the day kind of thug kind of thing, which technically these days there are really no thugs left around. You know what I'm saying? If you want to look forward to the future and to everything that is subscribed to the future, then thug mentality is pretty much out. So you can consider me an OG. I'm a little bit older than you. And with that said, I don't subscribe to that thug life kind of thing. So a rider to me is someone that, like I just got through explaining, that's a car enthusiast that has everything to do with technology, with newer cars today and everything. And that's one of the topics that I want to talk about here. One of the topics I want to talk about is technology when it comes to newer cars, and the fact that these newer cars, I just got through watching the video on the new Camaro and the 2018 Camaro. 2018, 2019, 2018, whichever. Anyway, I was very impressed by the setup of the new Camaro that's out, that's coming out, that's already out. Over when it first came out, the new one, the new generation Camaros. Well, the first ones had the magnetic ride suspension, which I thought was kind of cool. But that you don't know how to work on that, then what does that make you? It just makes you a person that just drives a car and doesn't know how to fix it. And I'm a firm believer that if you're gonna own a car these days, you better learn how to fix it, dude. I mean, you want to just have money and make money, which there's nothing wrong with that. But to pay someone else to work on your car, and to me, it's like you're not a rider. You got to be a rider. You can be a rider and pay for someone to work on your car. Pay for someone to do this. Pay for someone to do that. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to get your hands dirty. And I'm sorry, but a real rider gets under the hood. A real rider does things. You got to be about doing things with your car. I'm a firm believer in that. And I'm not going to talk about any kind of bashing type material right here. I know that kind of like is pretty much close to it, but yeah, I'm kind of looking for something right now. I swear sometimes it's like my car is my truck. If anyone understands that, my car is my truck. It just kind of sort of happens that way. I normally have a lot of stuff in my car. And stuff, I mean, like just, what I mean stuff, stuff like this, I have in my car. So it's upside down. I have stuff like this in my car. Who knows? You might want to, spray some deodorant spray in your car as an air freshener. I do that sometimes, and I don't know if I should spray that right now because I was smoking a cigar. I'm about to light a cigar in a minute because that's like the ultimate chill thing to do. And I know lately the younger generation, some of you subscribe to this no smoking policy, which is cool. I have my theory on why they want to push that though, about the no smoking thing. Why you hear a lot of anti-smoking ads and stuff like that on TV, not on radio, whatever the case may be. Kind of don't want to get into that. That kind of gets into conspiracy theories, and that's not what the title's about here. It's about being a rider. First, I want to talk about four-cylinder owners. Today's four cylinders are pretty fast from the get-go. That's all and good. That's fine. I don't bash it. I don't bash four cylinders, especially if it's turbocharged. Now, that's something that's pretty good. They got some pretty good four cylinders out there. Technically, I like V6 and I like V8s. Four cylinders are okay. I've done my thing with four cylinders. I've raced four cylinders and I've drove fast with four cylinders. But the one thing that gets me with the four cylinder is when I'm on the straightaway and I want to speed up and get down that road much faster than normal, then it just sort of, it's not the same. I mean, when you own a V6, I don't own a V8, but owning a V6, I just know the difference between a four cylinder and a V6. V6, you're on the road, you're on the straightaway, you're like, okay, I want to shorten this point to that point. I want to get from this top of the hill to that top of the hill, fast. And then I'll slow down just for the sake of it. Just for the sake of, I feel like I want to be there instead of, racing my ass to get there. And a V6 will do that for you. V6 will get you from point A, point B, down that road much faster. And then you can let off the gas and feel like you've accomplished something. Four cylinder, on the other hand, I have yet to come across a 4-cylinder, and I'm sure there's some out there that have to be turbocharged. With that, they're turbocharged, and will probably do it. I haven't come across a 4-cylinder yet. At least I haven't experienced it. That will be what a V6 does. Just kicks up and go as if you're sitting still. So the difference is the V6 will. You can be at highway speeds and you can accelerate with a V6 and really get down on it as if you were standing still, and then you're up again. You know, that's the difference. You're up again. You're moving again to a much higher level, and then you rest your effort, and you're like at a higher speed, and you don't get that with a 4-cylinder. You just don't. I'm just telling you the difference. And like I said, I haven't experienced a V8 yet personally, owned one, but that's gonna happen one day. So I don't bash 4-cylinders. It's just that I would technically rather own a V8, a V6 or a V8. And right now I'm trying to find something that I kind of misplaced. I had it last weekend, and now at this moment I'm not sure where it is. I guess you're wondering, what is that? I won't tell you. But are you? Now I'm sure this is like not really a popular type of title, I guess you could say. But hey, one thing I want to mention: if you happen to buy one of these, you get this from a truck stop. It's a Road Pro. It's a heater, and it puts out air. It's kind of cool. You have it hooked up in your car, plug it up to your cigarette lighter. Right now, it's blowing air. It's blowing air right now. And you have it on the air setting. That's the air setting right there. That's off. This is the heat setting. Now the heat setting, let me tell you, if you ever buy one of these things, and since wintertime is approaching, it is marketed as a heater, inside heater, and also has a handle on the side of it, so that you can grip it like this. It's got a handle on the side of it. You can grip it like this, and you can clear off the frost on the windshield. Pretty cool thing to have. The only downside is to it, if you try and use this to heat your vehicle, because it has like a little stand that comes with it that mounts to the bottom of it, which I have somewhere back here. The little stand. I don't know where it is right now. It kind of popped off in the middle of me moving around. But yeah, I would recommend you not use the heater to try to heat your car. Why? This thing draws about 15 amps of power. 15 amps of power. I used this thing one day sitting here watching YouTube videos on YouTube, sitting on the dashboard. I had the car running. I was mindful of my battery. I got a brand new battery in my car, 550 amp battery. I was running this as the heater instead of the heater of the car itself. And so later, I cut the car off and I go and do something else, and I come back. I go to crank my car, and my car cranks slowly. This thing right here drained my battery. I got a good alternator now and a good brand new battery, but it put a drain on my battery while it was running. It did not show as weak, like say for instance, my lights were bright after I cranked the car up. Only thing I noticed is two things I noticed. I noticed that the car cranked slowly, which means that it was in its reserve state, the battery, and the voltage had to have been low at that point while idling, and it took the alternator to keep things going. My windshield wipers, turned that on because it had rained already that day or that week or whenever it was earlier that day. The windshield wipers were still left on, so it must have rained that morning. And the windshield wipers were moving slowly. I was like, damn, this thing right here pulled that much power from my car, and I had it on probably. The car was running for about a good 20 minutes. What'll happen is the heater on this thing, it runs, and it stays hot for so long and then it kicks off. It has a thermostat inside of it. It kicks off and it kicks back on when after it cools itself off, and when it gets too hot, it kicks off again. So I'm thinking to myself while I was running, this is a really cool thing to have. I don't have to run my heater in my car, say for instance. And let me tell you why I wouldn't run the heater in my car. Now, are you a rider? What I have learned to do with my car, this is a V6 that I'm driving. I'm driving a V6 Dodge. It's Dodge Avenger, first Avenger, old school, first Avenger. To get my car to run in a performance manner, this is what I did. I took my thermostat out, and you can try this. When you try this, it's going to change the conditions of your how your vehicle operates, but you'll gain the performance that you want. Performance, I mean, is your engine will run cooler at normal temperature. Like right now, it's slightly below what it's supposed to be. And I've been idling for probably about close to 45 minutes now, and my engine temperature is slightly lower than it's supposed to be right now. It's like, you got your engine temperature running at the halfway point, and then mine's just slightly down just a little bit, and it's cool outside. So what I did with my thermostat is I took the smallest drill bit that I could find, and I drilled 3 tiny holes in it across where that little plate, that little diaphragm plate that moves back and forth, open and close. 3 tiny holes. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Just common sense. When you look at it, you'll see it. I took it out, drilled 3 tiny holes in it, cleaned it up real good, make sure there were no shavings in it, blew it, put it back in, ran it. So in the summertime, what you get to do is you get to run your vehicle much, much harder than you want, than most people, and have a low oil temperature, very low oil temperature. Even then, when it's low in coolant, I don't show that it's getting through that tube, and suddenly when it's not, say for instance, you'll notice it when you come to a stoplight, and then you look up and you see, oh crap, the temperature is going up, and your heat doesn't work. So that's one thing. Your heat doesn't work because there's no coolant flowing through. It's another thing. If it's the wintertime now and you have a heating problem, you don't have enough coolant in your engine. When you go to put more coolant in your engine, do not put cold coolant in a hot engine and then crank it. Don't do that. Don't do that. You will crack your head. I had to tell a young guy at the store, boy, he was driving a Buick, V6 Buick, and I said, man, don't crank that vehicle up after you put that cold coolant in there. And some other guy comes along and was telling him, go ahead, it's not going to hurt anything. I said, don't listen to him. And it was like back and forth, back and forth. The devil trying to tell this guy to do something, and me, the angel, trying to tell this guy, because I'm a rider, okay, trying to tell this guy, don't crank your engine right now. You just put cold coolant in a hot engine. And he didn't know what to do. He's like, he didn't know what to listen to. I said, man, listen, I'm trying to tell you, don't crank that car right now. And the guy that was trying to tell him that it's okay to go put coolant in it and the drive got mad at me. So we're back and forth, almost having, like, I was feeling like, I'm going to stand for my word. I was ready to almost fight this dude, to try to tell him, hey, stop telling this guy that it's okay to drive his car to put cold coolant in a hot motor. I said, if you want your vehicle, don't drive it right now. Let that cold coolant that you put in that engine warm up before you drive it. And it was at night, and it wasn't a cold night, but that's besides the fact. You got to let that cold coolant warm up. And even then, it probably won't just warm up all of a sudden, because most of it goes in the radiator. This is a Buick, mind you. So it pours directly into the radiator. It's a Buick. If you're stuck in that situation where you had to put coolant in, or you put that coolant in, and I know some of you know the old-fashioned way of doing it while, running the engine while you put the coolant in. Yes, you can do that, but you have to be mindful of it. I'll get to that in just a minute. You have to be mindful of doing that. You can run the car while putting coolant in there, but I'll get to that in just a second. So even if you do put the coolant in to a hot radiator, or it's nearly empty, whatever, you got a leak, whatever, and you're thinking, okay, I'll let it warm up, like I just said, let it warm up. Even then, it may not completely warm up the entire amount of coolant that you put in there. If you're stuck in that situation, you just did that, you're like, oh crap, I can't drive my car, the coolant that's in there is hot, I just put cold coolant in there, what do I do? Okay, this is what I've done, and you have to be patient. Patient. I'm gonna sound like Neil deGrasse. You gotta be patient. After you've done that, you put your top back on, make sure you put your top back on. You wanna sit back in your car, you wanna crank that car engine for 1 second, cut it off, and wait. So what you just did was you allowed that coolant to circulate just a little bit to let the cold mix into the hot and let it warm up. Look at your watch, wait 1 to 2 minutes, repeat the process, crank it for 2 seconds, cut it off. Now I know I just said 1 second, but we're trying to progress a little bit. Look at your watch again, look at your phone timer, whatever. Wait a minute, or however long you think, if you want to be cautious, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever, depending on your condition of where you are. If it's super cold outside, then yeah, you want to wait a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily run it no longer. I would just wait a little bit longer before cranking it again, because mind you, it's cold coolant going inside of a hot engine. You don't want to crack your head. So you keep repeating this process until you watch your temperature drop. Okay. When that temperature gauge is dropped, you know for a fact that that cold coolant has mixed in with the hot. After you've done this a few times, when that has happened, you want to wait. When you feel like, and only you would know this because you know your car, you know what your circumstances, the situation that you're in, you're doing it. You know what's going on. You got an idea of what's going on. I can't find what I'm looking for in the back, so I'm just not going to look for it right now. So while I'm talking to you, in the spirit of a real rider, as I am, I'm going to light me a cigar, talk to you. We're going to get to that part about running the engine. This is an old school way of doing it, running the engine while putting coolant in there. So after you've done that and you've noticed your temperature gauge drop, and you've contemplated and thought about, is it okay to crank it and to drop? My head is not going to crack. You want to be super, cautious about this, and make sure you're not going to mess up your engine, because once you crack that head, you got to replace that head, okay? And a lot of times to find a head, depending on what year car you got, you may or may not be able to go to a salvage yard and get a head, because someone else may have done the same thing. You don't know the condition of a head until you actually put it on. Yeah, you can look at it, probably find it, a crack in it, if you look at a head after you looked at it to see if there's a crack in it, but sometimes you may not see it. So that's what you call clean smoking right here, boy. Got a clean smoke. So after you've done that, God darn it, that's hot. So after you've done that, and I smoke like Indians. I don't inhale. But you inhale this, then I guess you're just messing up your lungs, but I don't. Just puff it. So after you've done that, you feel it's okay. You decide that. You decide when you drive it after after you've done that. So let's get to the old school way of doing it. The old school way of doing it is to, it's empty. You're running out. You've ran out. It's not boiling over when you run the car. Sometimes it can boil over. If it does, go ahead and put your top back on. After if you're running a car and you see it starting to come up and you can't put no more in it, or you don't get a chance to put any more in it, put your top back on, and you just go ahead and drive home, you have a thermostat problem at that point. That's what you got. You've got a thermostat problem at that point. If you're overheating, you want to put coolant in, you want to do it the old school way and pour coolant into the motor while it's running, but it starts to flow out, you've got a thermostat problem. That's what you got. And at that point, there is a hack that you can do. I've done this before on the interstate I-77, trying to come home from Charlotte. It overheated suddenly. This is a different car. It was a Ford I was driving. What I did was looked in my trunk, got me a clothes hanger wire. I jammed the clothes hanger wire into the thermostat, and it was made in such a way where the hose directly connected into the motor, to the side of the motor. The thermostat was right there. So I was able to jam clothes hanger wire into the thermostat, a little piece of it that I broke off, and put the hose back on, drove home, perfectly fine. So if you run into that situation, that's what you do. You jam something in it, and you put your hose back on, put it back together, whatever the case is, however the case is, you can get home easily if it's a thermostat problem. If you have to add some coolant, well, I just told you what to do. So the old school way of doing it, you run your vehicle. If it starts to overflow, you got a thermostat problem. If it doesn't overflow and it's low, add that coolant just a tiny little bit at a time. I'm talking slow pouring, just slow, really slow. Take your time, be careful. Pure coolant, because you don't want it to boil. You want to use pure coolant. Pour it in there very slow. Take your time doing it, because this is cold stuff going into a hot engine. Keep on, keep on, keep on. Let it run. Keep on pouring it very slowly while it's running, while the engine's running, until it tops up. Put your top back on, and you're done. That's it. And later on, after it's cooled off, add some water to it. Distilled water. Because the chlorine water does something to the pH of it and stuff like that. And you got to go and do this little test with little bottles with that little pH thing, which I've never done before, but you know, it's supposed to prolong the life of the coolant and get you proper coolant in the summer and winter time, so it doesn't freeze up, doesn't over, all that kind of stuff. Gives you better efficiency out of it. Coming up on 28 minutes here. Nobody's in the chat, but that's okay. This is a topic that, you know, is not exactly like love and hip hop and all that kind of stuff. This is, are you a rider? This is simple little things. I'm a firm believer that you got to get your engine strong. Everything else is secondary. Paint job, secondary. Body work, secondary. Everything else is kind of like peripheral. Tires are important. Yeah, that's important. If you own a Dodge, one thing you're going to realize is the tires are the most important thing, and that's the tires you're going to wear out the quickest. Why? Because the speed that you get out of a Dodge is like phenomenal. It's not so much burning rubber and also the kind of cornering stuff like that. No, it's just getting on the highway and just riding, period. And you got to own one to understand what I'm talking about. If you are a lady and say, for instance, you're confused about all this oil types and stuff like that. What type of oil should I use in my vehicle when I go and get an oil change? This is the number one thing that I would suggest that anyone do, especially the women. Buy your own oil, take it to the place to get it changed, watch the mechanic put the oil that you bought into your ride. Okay, watch him do it. I have known situations where people have gotten oil changes. Needless to say, the oil was too thin. The mechanic probably put a 530 weight in or 1030 weight. And you're driving a car that's 10 years old. Do you understand? Yeah, it may say that on the, it may be recommended for 530 weight, 1030 weight, or whatever it may be. It may be the recommended thinness of the oil that he's putting in there. But if you're driving a vehicle that's 10 years old, okay? And I'm going to explain why I'm kind of ranting about that in just a second. Right after I puff this cigar. If you're driving a vehicle that's 10 years old, my recommendation, if you want that vehicle to last more than 10 years, you better step up to a 1040 weight. 1040 weight oil will make your vehicle last a long time. This is a 1996 right here. I don't put no 1030 in here. This is a 1040 weight. 1040 weight oil will make your engine last much longer. No, you don't have to switch to a 2050 weight when in the winter time. The old timer guys told me, I did it back when I was driving a Nissan 4-cylinder. I put 2050 in there in the winter time. Not necessary, because that 2050 weight at startup is going to be so thick, it's not going to flow through at the minute of startup. You're going to hear a knocking sound. If you don't hear a knocking sound, you will start hearing knocking sounds. And on top of that, your performance is going to suck. The engine is going to be slow. It's going to be slow to advance its speed. It's going to be slow to pump the oil through. The oil pump has to work harder. Oil pressure may end up being lower because you put that 2050 in there, thinking that, well, it's going to be better. Well, yes and no. The engine has to be really hot in order to get that 2050 to work. And it's not going to be hot to start up, even in the summertime. I wouldn't recommend it. 1040 is as high as you need to go with it. So, what I was trying to say from the beginning, I've known some people to get their oil changed, and then the same week they get their oil changed, the same week they just got their oil changed, their engine starts knocking. It starts knocking, it starts tapping. I've heard this before. I've approached people at the gas station about it before. I say, I think you need to put some oil in your car. And they'll look at me and say, well, I just got my oil changed. I don't know what's wrong with it. And it'll be a woman driving a van. This is it'll be her only car. She's like an older woman, or it's just a woman that, she's trying to get around, trying to make it. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, somebody did you wrong. Somebody just did you wrong, because they put the thinnest oil they possibly could in there while you weren't paying attention, while you were sitting out front or sitting on a bench somewhere while the dude in the back was putting the thinnest oil in your vehicle, probably thinner than what came out of it. Called himself doing an oil change just for the money. Okay? No. Bring your own oil. 1040 weight if your vehicle is at least 10 years old. Okay? And even if your vehicle is newer, still buy your own oil. If it's a newer vehicle, less than 10 years, and you've been putting the specified weight in it, buy your own oil and demand that you watch the mechanic put that oil that you just bought in your vehicle. Don't let them put whatever that comes out of the drum or whatever they decide to put in your vehicle. And you care about your vehicle, okay? If you care about it and you're a rider of some sort, if you just care because you got things to do, and watch it being put in. That's what you need to do. Because they'll probably just put the thinner stuff in there. And if you don't watch, they'll take that oil that you bought and keep it for themselves, and then turn around and put the thinner stuff in there. Some people just don't care like that. So, another thing, transmission fluid. You may go to a gas station. Oh, wait, let me go back to the oil topic. Because I just saw this. I just saw a dude do this. I was in Bishopville. Shout out to Lizardman Town, Bishopville. Y'all know me. James Gray is the rider. What's up? I was at Bishop, right there in Bishopville. You know exactly where it's at. Watch this dude driving a little bit of an older school BMW. I forgot exactly what model it was, but it wasn't the newer one. It was a few years older. So he parks in front of the store, right there at the door. The first door, in the middle of the store. And goes inside, him and his lady. He comes out, pops the hood. He proceeds to put oil in his engine, do it. I was walking back to my car, happened to look over. At that point, I was, what was I doing? I was just chilling. About to go light me a cigar. I'm a rider, you know. Shoot, I'm about to light me a cigar, sit down and watch YouTube videos. I seen this dude. He had some Pennzoil. The dude had Pennzoil. Okay, Pennzoil. Do you know what Pennzoil is? You know, okay, the yellow bottles in a BMW. No, you don't do that. You don't put Pennzoil in a BMW. You don't do that. I know he's at a gas station. I know it's probably all he had. They had to sell him. I wanted to walk over and just chastise him about it. I just wanted to walk over and just ask him, hey, dude, you got the right oil, the right weight? And even if it was the right weight oil, do you realize you might end up with some Coastal? You ever heard of Coastal motor oil? Don't put that in your ride if you want to ride. If you have to put it in your ride, make sure you change your oil after you get home if you're traveling, okay? Because that stuff will mess up your motor. It'll mess it up. Trust me, I know it'll mess your motor up. If you're driving, you'll start hearing some weird noises after a while. But yeah, Pennzoil, put it into a BMW. Yep, Pennzoil and a BMW. It's not that I didn't care at that moment. It's just that I can't save the world. Sometimes you got to let these people that don't know anything about vehicles. This is my main reason for making this video, okay? Man, you got to learn. And sometimes you don't need to necessarily learn the hard way. Just kind of listen to us riders that try to tell you, or at least try to make a point to try to understand, make a point to try to learn something that, you know, any oil just won't do. You get what you pay for, okay? And when it comes to oil, when it comes to fluids, when it comes to anything with a car, name brand matters. If it costs more, it matters. It's not costing more because it's a name brand. It doesn't cost more, I repeat. It doesn't cost more because it's a name brand. It costs more because it's a name brand. Oil doesn't cost more just because it's a name brand. You're getting what you pay for. It's quality. You're getting what you pay for. It's the quality of it. So if you want your vehicle to last, buy the most expensive thing. Buy the most expensive stuff. A lot of times when you put oil, let's say for instance, if it goes completely out low for a long time, I'll tell you this too. If you've ran low and your light has came on, that means that it has ran so low to the point that the oil pump is not detecting oil no more. The oil pressure switch comes on. You're completely empty. Nothing flowing. The switch has detected there's no pressure. At that point, what's done happened when it's got down to the bottom of your pan and it has ran low, what's happened is in the middle of that process, if it's getting down to that point and it's trying to pull out that last little bit, like a straw from the bottom of your oil pan, it's bubbling. It's bubbling through your motor. It's aerating. It's got air mixed into the oil. If you actually pull your dipstick out, you may see little tiny bubbles on your dipstick mixed in with the air, mixed in with the oil. That ain't good. That means you've got air in your air filter. It's aerated. It's bubbled in your air filter. I'm sorry, the oil filter. It's bubbled into the oil filter. It's bubbled throughout the motor, everywhere. And if you think, well, if I put oil in it, will it be okay? Yes and no. Yes, go ahead and put new oil in it to get you home or wherever, but you do want to do an oil change later. If you've gotten to that point where you completely ran out, get ready to do an oil change. I see one person, it seems like they're in the chat. Let me see if I can see the chat. Okay. So, like I said, if you've gotten to that point where it has completely ran out of oil, I'll repeat again because I see there's one person that's listening. If you've completely ran out of oil, and what's happened is the oil has bubbled. It has bubbled at that point because it's been trying to, pull up that last little bit. It's kind of like when you're drinking a soda and you try to get that last little bit out and you're mixing air with the fluid. That's what's happening to the oil. So if you go and put that oil in, which you have to do, to save your engine, to save your car, to get back home, Mind you, the oil filter has got air at that point. The engine in some place in the engine has got air at some point. So you're gonna have to change your oil at that point. After you've got a chance to, at the end of the week when you get paid, go ahead and do an oil change and do all those things that I mentioned because save your engine. And I do want to repeat that, if your engine is 10 years old, if your car is 10 years old or older, I would recommend, and you're driving a 4-cylinder V6, not so certain about the V. I'm just telling you from experience. 4 cylinders, V6s, if your engine is 10 years old or older, go ahead and put 1040 weight in there. It will save you the trouble. If you try to put the recommended, what it says in there, 530 weight, 1030 weight, and your engine is more than 10 years old, don't expect that car to last you another 10 years. This is not going to do it. Because the automakers, they make a car that will eventually die, so you can go out and buy another one. That's just how it is. That's what they do. That's how they make their money. They want repeat customers. And you're not going to get a repeat customer if your car is lasting 50 years. That's just, we want our cars to last 50 years. If you pay for it and it's paid off, you want that car to last. You got things to do. You ain't got time to go out and buy another car unless you just want to keep up with the Joneses, which is all well and good and everything. But the way things are, the economy and stuff like that, you better make that car last as long as you possibly can. And the way to do that is to step up your thickness of your oil. If it's 10 years or older, you're driving a 4-cylinder, driving a V6, 1040 weight. Go ahead and put 1040. BMW has a special type of oil. I do remember reading the bottles of the BMW special type of oil. I have no experience with, as far as if you're driving an older BMW, if it's a V6, probably the same thing applies. I would not, well, I'll put it this way. Like I said, I have no experience with it, but if things have been good with the recommended oil, if you're driving a BMW that's more than 10 years old, things have been fine with it. No knocking, no tapping, no any kind of weird sounds from the engine, and it's performing just fine. Just stick with what you're using. But for most cars out there, it's been my experience seeing other people, paying attention to other people, when they go and do an oil change, all of a sudden the same week, that engine's tapping. I'm like, man, you didn't watch the mechanic put the oil in. That mechanic probably put some thin oil in there. That mechanic, you don't know. So I'll repeat again, buy your own oil and watch that mechanic put it in. If your car is older than 10 years, put 1040 weight in that thing. I got 1040 weight in this car. This is a 1996 Dodge Avenger, still running fine. I got 249,547 miles on it. Still runs fine. And I put 1040 weight in here, not 1030, not 530. 1040 weight. And I'll leave it at that. And as far as the filter goes, yes, you can buy the most expensive filter. I buy the filter that they have like on sale. Like when they do like a little package deal where you buy the oil and you buy the filter for a certain price, discount at AutoZone or someplace like that. All well and fine, I get that. Here's one of the things I want to mention. Say for instance, the oil plug. Oil plugs with the magnetic head to it. I would highly recommend that. I don't think many cars come with that, but you can buy it. You can buy it aftermarket where it has the oil plug with the magnetic head to it, where it picks up little debris and stuff like that. It's just common sense. You would want that so that when you do your oil change, or whoever does the oil change, they can clean off little shavings, really good. And when they go to put the new oil in, drain the old oil out. And then, hey, when they go and put that little I think I'm talking too long here. I'm starting to like mess up my words. But anyway, it traps the old oil shavings, and so that when you go in, clean your oil and stuff like that, clean your oil, put your thing back in when it's clean, it's going to trap whatever more particles and debris and whatever that's been accumulated, and you don't want to pass that through your engine or your filter. But anyway, are you a rider? Rider can be determined by the type of music maybe you listen to, whether or not you paint your car. I've done a spray paint job in my car before. It's not that difficult. You just got to get the sweeping part of it right. I would like to own a painting kit, but I do have an air compressor, but my compressor, I was told that the type of air compressor I have is not enough to keep it going. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to be spraying continuously. It does work up to, I think, 100 psi, a little over 100 psi, which in my opinion should be enough. You're just going to be on and off with it. But, and there are some techniques that you can do to, when you're doing a spray paint job. I saw where they use static electricity. They charge the vehicle and they charge the paint. I'm not sure how you do that. I think you use electrical charge to get it to stick when you paint the vehicle. I'm just kind of rambling right now. I'm going on 47 minutes. But that's kind of it that I want to talk about right now at this moment. But lights. Say for instance, I got these rechargeable lights here. I bought this from Harbor Freight Tool, and these things are kind of cool. You plug them into your cigarette lighter. They are rechargeable, and I got one up here. Bought 2 of them. It lasts as long as you expect it to last. When you first plug them in, this little light, this button right here turns red until it charges up. When it charges up, it turns green. It's ready. Unplug it at that point. I bought one of these little outlets that you use. This outlet that you plug in your cigarette lighter, accessories, maybe like charging your phone, and in this case, charging the light. Plug it in. Let me show you what it does. So when you plug it in, it turns red like that, and when this thing charges up, it turns green. Absolutely necessary to have this. Absolutely. Because you can be anywhere on the road, it's a cool thing to have. Very cool thing to have. And of course, this is the part right here where you plug in your cell phone USB in. You want to charge your phone up, plug it into here, like so. It's a really cool thing to have. I like it. Absolutely necessary to have this. It's a necessity. I find myself using that thing every day. I also got a dash cam in here. I plug up the dash cam, let that run, let that record some videos. I do that. Sun's coming up. How about that? But yeah, man. It's cool these days just to be riding and just driving and smoking a cigar. And I think I'm going to start doing these live chats like this when I'm driving. I've seen some people do that, and it's very entertaining to watch someone do a live chat and drive at the same time. course, right now at this moment, I need to get my cell phone holder, which I currently have the base part of it attached to my bike, and I need to get that off the bike and put it in here some kind of way. It's actually made for a bicycle, and so that means it's going to grip around the bar with the what you call it thing that grips around the bar. So in order to make that work in here, I'm going to have to come up with something, possibly a PVC pipe, short PVC pipe, and mount that on the dash somewhere. I was thinking right across the radio right here, have like a bar. It'd be cool to have like a aluminum bar going across where the radio is, and have it just out a little ways from it, and then wrap that around it, and then mount my the base part of it, and then attach the cell phone holder to it. Bam, got it right there. Plus it's rotatable. I can rotate that thing around. That'd be cool. That'd be real cool. So some stuff. That's just some stuff right there. Let me see, coming up on 51 minutes, and I still have been sitting here idling. And as long as I've been idling, my engine temperature is slightly below halfway, which goes to show that's pretty good. That's pretty good for temperature outside is kind of cool. I think it's around 49, maybe 50 degrees outside. There's no frost. Well, I got the heat on. There's no frost in the windows. But another thing, if you happen to be at home and this light's about to go out right here, you might want to charge that up. If you happen to be at home and doing sitting in your car watching YouTube videos or on the messing with the computer or anything like that, just chilling, having a heater in your car in these winter months is kind of a useful thing, so you don't have to run your vehicle like I'm doing right now. And so these, you can buy these at Walmart, and I was about to get another one today, but I put it back and I got something else instead. But these little heaters right here, they work really well. You can like set it on the passenger seat right next to you, run an extension cord from your house, bring it to the window, and just sit here and flip this thing on, and just be chilling, man. It gets warm pretty soon, and it can be as cold as it wants to be outside. You can smoke your cigar like crazy and not bother nobody. Nobody has to complain about your smoke. You know, it's just chill. It's just a chill thing to do. Not bothering nobody. You're just innocently watching YouTube videos, and hey, that's what I do. Not bother nobody, just watching YouTube videos and with my heater on. As simple as that. With my bandana on, which happens not to mean anything. I don't mean anything by this bandana. There's no gang affiliation, all that kind of stuff. I was surprised. I was really surprised that these teens approached me and thought that I was in some sort of gang because I was wearing a bandana. What? People still do that? I thought that kind of stuff went out in the 80s. I mean, why do you need a color to represent who you are? Not me. I don't go for that. But to sidestep misconfusions and stuff like that, misunderstandings, I do wear multicolored ones. So if you happen to see me with a multicolored one, that's the reason why I'm wearing a multicolored one. I happen to have this particular solid color right here because I bought like a pack of them, and this just happened to be the one. This is the one that's clean. This is the one I found, and blah, there it is. Oftentimes I put a t-shirt on my head, and I'll have like a gray t-shirt, black t-shirt, just chill. It's just a cool thing to do. It's just my personality. I like to just chill out. That's all it is. I don't mean nothing by it. Not bother nobody. That's just it. So the cigar now is about that far. Clean smoking it, not inhaling it. Ordinary little store bought cigar. So yeah, man. I don't want to stray away from discussion and talk about other things that are non-related to being a writer. Music. Let's see. I don't think they're gonna like say anything about me playing music. This is gonna be like background music. It's not really intended to be heard. It's just
That's when I realized that
happened to be on, and I really I don't know.
What the though? Where the love go? 5, 4, 3, 2, I let one go.
But I kind of know the 30-second rule on that. So yeah, Lil Wayne. I don't know, Lil Wayne. You're kind of different these days, dude. You're a little bit different these days. It's like we kind of listen to you a little. I'm not bashing you, Lil Wayne. You're okay, but your music is a little bit repetitious. It's like you're letting the music speak for you more than what you're trying to bring us. And I don't know. I like to see you work a little harder at your music, dude. Just you got a hook, you got the music, but you're letting the music entertain us a little more than what you got to say. And I would kind of like to hear a little more of what you got to say than just being entertained by the music, because I find myself just listening to the music, expecting something, and I'm driving, and the music is just dun 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 dun, and then that's it. That's all I got to say about it. I mean, but that's kind of that on that. Yeah, and I got a complaint about this guy right here, because when he starts out, yeah, at the beginning of that, that's just nasty, dude. At the beginning of it, coughing like that. Here where I live at, they're starting to edit that part out because it's just unnecessary. Why do Geminis do that? Why do Geminis cough like that? Especially when somebody's talking and getting ready to say something that's important, it has to be heard, and bam, they go and cough. Why do you do that? Geminis, why do you do that? It's not nice, it ain't cool, it ain't. Why do you do that? Why? And then you turn around and expect people to talk to you. Talk to me, baby. Dude, you got a cool song, but you effed it up at the beginning with that damn coughing. Why you did that? I mean, come on, just. But anyway, radio stations are beginning to edit that part out, not even let us hear that part. I don't know why they played that part from the beginning. It should have been edited from the start. We should have never heard it. It doesn't really ruin the song, but it sort of leaves like a negative impression at first. And it's like, he expects us to forget that we heard it and just carry on, which you can, but you're still left with that negative impression from the very start. Where's the science in that? Is it that because you did something undesirable, everything else better than is supposed to be better than? I get the science on that, but I'm talking about it. And if I'm talking about it, it's negative. I'm talking negatively about it, and it's negative. It's there. It's an issue that will be discussed or revisited or thought about, So that's just one thing. I'm becoming a critic, but, if you spend any time riding and driving, which all of us do, you come across music like that. So it has to be discussed.
Evening and early morning dental appointments are available.
Usually sometimes when I'm smoking a cigar, I'll have a candy, and I don't have any candies. I was gonna buy some, but I was gonna try to find one that was sugar free. I'm coming up on an hour, man, an hour. But anyway. Oh yeah, one thing I want to mention: speakers. I bought speakers at the flea market, and the speakers I bought, they look nice, but after a while, as you just heard, they're now starting to vibrate. They are a paper voice coil speakers. Well, they're paper cone speakers. They're just crappy speakers, put it that way. I should have bought something that was different. And I know what type I'm thinking about, but I don't want to say it because I may be saying it wrong. But there are better quality speakers that won't rattle so soon. These rattled pretty quickly after I played it for a while, and I'm not using much power going to it. I think like 25 watts per speaker. That's not much. The radio I got here, I bought from Walmart. I bought it the Bluetooth one. And the reason why I got the Bluetooth one is because I can link it with my phone, and it's proven to be useful. If you're planning on getting that radio, one bad thing about it is the acoustics of it. Now, it does have an equalizer that you can go through and change the equalizer settings, but you never can get the highest range. You know, that range between 1000 kilohertz and 10K. Well, it plays the higher part of the 10K and all that, but everywhere else in between, like a 3.5 and a 6.5, and yeah, those frequencies are sort of like dipped. Those frequencies are suppressed, and I think they do that because of the phone feature, and you have no control over it. And so when you play your music, it kind of sounds like this. You don't get the response of the most audible part of the music. It's like just the higher end and the mid lower end of the voice. Everything else in between is hard to hear. So when you're driving and you've got a system, an exhaust system like I've got, where the engine's a little bit loud, it's hard to hear. It's really hard to hear the music when you're pushing a low power output like I got right now. It's really hard to hear. So the automatic, it's a dual radio from Walmart. So dual, if you're watching, the company that makes dual radios for the car, if you're watching, please come out with a radio that has an equalizer, a real equalizer that we can go through and adjust the settings on it, the range that I just mentioned, so we can hear our music better. Or at least have it so that it will switch back and forth on its own from when you have it on Bluetooth. Now, I know why they do it. They do it because of the Bluetooth feature and the phone feature, so that the phone sounds like a phone and not extremely tinty. I understand that, but I would have expected at least that it would switch back automatically, so that when you're playing music, you get to hear the full range of the music, and it's not suppressed at that particular point, that critical point to hear. But what I'll do now is I'm about to end this chat. I see somebody that said, "Yo, bro." Yeah, I had it on. I see it first time doing a live chat, and when I seen that, I didn't respond to it. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, dude. Like I said, it's my first time. Hood thee. What's up, Hood D? THE. But I wasn't trying to ignore you. It's just that, like I said, it's my first time ever doing a live chat, and I didn't know exactly how to work the screen. I thought it was just going to show up after I had tapped the chat icon right there. So I wasn't ignoring you. It's just my first time doing it. This live chat, I wanted to do it because I've never done it before, and next time I do it, I'm gonna have my phone set up. I think I'm gonna put this bar up here, mounted above the radio, like an aluminum bar. I'm gonna find me an aluminum bar from Lowe's or some hardware store or something. I may have an aluminum bar somewhere, and take my I've got a bicycle bracket mount thing, the base part of it on my bike right now, and it wraps around the bar. And then from that, you put the cell phone thing on the back to it, and you click it in place, and you can rotate it where you want to, and stuff like that. So I'm as set as I can, and that's gonna be how I'm gonna be doing my live chats and stuff like that pretty soon. But I'm at an hour and 8 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it now, and I think I stop it by hitting the X mark. I'm not sure. I'll figure that out in just a second. But if everyone else is watching this on replay, this is a little bit of a ramble, I know, but it's my first time doing a live chat. I just wanted to do it. Mainly because my memory is not that great on my phone. I don't know what's done happened. I think I fell asleep one too many times holding my phone and with my finger on my phone, and I've downloaded something. I told somebody about that the other day. I was joking about that. I fell asleep. My darn finger was on the phone and it was downloading something. I went and tried to figure out where it's at so I can delete it because my memory seems to be shot, and I can't find it. And lately it's done told me that it's got like 4 viruses on the phone. How? I haven't even done anything much to it. I got a few videos on here, but I don't know. And one day I may switch to the iPhone. Sorry, Android, I may switch to the iPhone because of memory issues. Now, if Android can start making some phones with 12 terabytes of memory and we can record videos all day, I'd be super happy. But right now, it seems to be that the iPhone are the ones that have memory, and I may switch to that just for that purpose. But if I can have chat like this and not have to store so much stuff on the phone, then I'll just do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this chat session. Anyone that's been watching it up until this point, replay. Thanks for watching. I'll try to do a little more videos sometime later on. There's one thing I want to mention. One more thing, and it's just like a little product review kind of thing. The Ultra Trails solar motion activated light. These things are cool. They work really well. If they get a lot of solar, it lasts pretty much all night long. And buy a lot of these, and just put them up at, along your house, step, porch, whatever. Buy a lot of these things. Keep one in the car. Now, I did put one in the car one time, and I put it on the dashboard. And I wanted to have it so that when I came out to the car, I could use it as extra lighting and stuff like that. Cool, works. But you know what the bad thing is? They can't take too much heat, and they start to buckle, and, the heat sort of screws them up a little bit. So, but in the winter months like this, they should be okay, I guess. But it gets a lot of solar inside in the car. Really good solar. Provided that you get solar. And they say that we're supposed to be at a solar minimum this year. Sunspot cycle is low, but don't let that stop you with the solar. Oh, one more thing I want to mention, you guys, everyone is listening to is watching the replay. I have a solar panel set up in my car. I highly recommend that you go out and buy a solar panel for your car. You get them at O'Reilly's. Well, you can get the one they got at O'Reilly's. It's a large solar panel. I recommend you put it in the back, your back dash, in between your speakers. The wiring won't be long enough to make it all the way to the battery, so you're gonna have to wire up some extra wiring. or you can put it on your dashboard in between your two vents at the window, and let that charge your battery when you're not doing anything. Make your battery last a whole lot longer. Like I told you, I got a brand new battery. I do a lot of recharging in my car, and I've got a solar panel hooked up to my car battery. It works wonders. Like say for instance, when I ran into that situation where I was running my heater in my car and it brought my battery down, no sweat. I haven't had any problems after that because the solar rebuilt my battery back up, and it's always going to rebuild the battery up. It's always going to recharge it when I'm not using the car. It's always going to do it. It's always going to be there for me. I wouldn't recommend buying this and using it as a heater though, because it just pulls too much power. 15 freaking amps. It's too much power. And I got it wired directly straight to the battery too. I didn't go with the cigarette lighter thing. I got it straight going to the battery. And I'll use the fan part of it, like, oh, that's heat. I'll use the fan part so that when I'm smoking in the car, you know, and I was thinking about mounting this up here. That's what this board is for, by the way. I put this board up here for future projects, and this is one of the future projects where this is going to be up here like this, and one day I may have some lighting up here, some LED lighting that changes colors. I can have, like, say for instance, at a store this light, put light up here. I may even one day have it where this is going to be mounted up here on this board. So if you're all wondering why I got a board inside my car up here, that's why. I may even have it where, I don't know, the radio I took out of here, I may decide to put back in here and put my old CD radio, car radio up here, have it where I can just reach back and put a disc in. Because this dual radio that I bought from Walmart with Bluetooth, it doesn't have a CD player. Which, you know, I'm not too much missing it right now because I can go to YouTube and play YouTube videos through my phone and into the radio. And so I'm not really missing it too much right now, but I do have some CDs that I want to play, and sometimes I give out some CDs. I do music. I give out CDs, and sometimes they want to hear it before they buy it. I have sold CDs before. Lately, that's kind of thing where not a lot of people are doing it. Some people they want to try to make a law against it. I heard one guy got in trouble for doing that at Walmart selling CDs. Now, say for instance, if you're doing music and you happen to come across me and you want to sell me your CD, cool with me. I'll support you, dude or lady. I'll support you, because us independent artists out here, we need some support. I highly understand it. I'm it. You got a CD you want to sell me? I'll buy it. You know, $5 problem. Cool. So you got my sale right there. If you got a CD you want to sell me, some music or video, you happen to see me, I'll buy it from you. Just like that. I understand. If I'm feeling good, I might buy two. But if you got something different, you know, sell me something different. I don't really too much want to buy two of the same thing. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. I gotta learn how to stop it anyway. I'm about to stop it. So anybody who's been watching up to this point, thanks for watching, and I may do this another time while I'm driving somewhere. I don't know where, somewhere. Cigar is about gone. I've been clean smoking this thing this whole time. These are Post-it notes that you get from wherever. And heck, you know, us dudes, we work on the cars. You know, if you're a rider, you work on your car. And I may have gotten oil on my hands. I may have gotten gasoline on my hand from pumping the gas. I don't want to inhale that mess, so use the Post-it note. I want y'all to start doing this. Everywhere in America, I want everyone to start using a Post-it note when they smoke, okay? Use a Post-it note like this. Clean smoke. Because what you got on your fingers, it gets in there, and you're killing yourself. You wash dishwasher one. I'm telling you. You wash your hands with dishwashing liquid, you come run back to your car and smoke a cigarette, you're killing yourself, because those chemicals in that dishwashing liquid are majorly bad. They're like, oh my God, my chest is hurting. Of course, I can feel it. So start doing this post-it notes right here. It won't be weird. Just say James Ray told me to do it. Anybody got anything to say about using a post-it note while you smoking? You say James Gray's Rider said use a post-it note. And if they got a problem with it, tell them to come see my video. Clean smoking. Now I'll explain why. Thanks for watching my live chat, the replay, and have a nice day. What's up? What's up?